Hello, everybody. You guys know I'm always excited to speak to a legend. And when they agreed to come onto the channel, and I couldn't be more proud than to have the soul and gospel legend, multiple Grammy Award winning Deniece Williams here. Thank you and welcome to the channel.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So we'll just jump right into it. So
Okay.
I know you started singing very early in church, but I'm very curious to know how did that gospel and church training shape your musical abilities?
I started singing in the children's choir when I was 3 years old, and my musical director was my cousin in charge of the choir. And from being in the church, I learned pitch, I learned tone, I learned singing with other singers. I learned, and he would tell me, Deniece, wherever there's a hole in the music, just fill it in. So sometimes I sang alto, sometimes I sang second soprano, sometimes I sang first soprano. So whoever was the weakest, the altos were probably never weak, but the first and the second soprano. And so that's really where I got my training. And a lot of what you hear that I do when I sing came from the church choir.
I'm just curious, were there always more altos than sopranos?
Yes, always more altos than sopranos. Yes, forever, it seemed.
And I know you also sang in school as well. So how did that school music education shape your musical or add on to your musical abilities?
I didn't sing in the choir in school. I was in the school band, so that's where a lot of the music stuff, my musicality came from as well, because we played a lot of different kinds of music. We played. You know what? Let me back up. That's not true. I was the singer for the jazz orchestra, the jazz band. I was so afraid to sing this music, but it did help me as far as my performance and obviously singing jazz and then gospel, and then eventually R&B and pop. So I guess I'm kind of well-rounded in that way.
So you can read music.
Yes.
Really? I never knew that. And what instrument do you play or did you play?
I played flute
Okay.
in the high school band and high school orchestra. But I tell you, don't stick a piece of paper in front of me anytime soon. I'll struggle through it for real. You must. I encourage anybody learn to read music. If you're interested in it, learn to read it.
All right. And so just backing up a little bit to your choir position. So you are soprano, correct?
Yes, I am. No, I could be alto if I have to be, but yeah, I'm seeing first and second soprano.
So there are sopranos, and then there is your kind of soprano. So how did you know you had this super rare, very high voice? How did you discover that?
And I think it came from being in the church choir when I was sing first soprano, when I do that. And then, of course, when I joined Stevie Wonder, I was always the girl on top, of it. So, we had the Shirley Rose, the alto, and Lonnie Rose was the second soprano, and I was the first soprano. So, that's a position that I liked. It was easy to do that.
So you just always have those notes. You never had to work towards them?
No, God gave it to me. So it came to me free.
Okay, so speaking of those high notes, is that you doing the high note at the end of Heavy Day?
I don't know.
It's like, "Da."
Maybe, probably.
But that's you on every time he comes around, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. And you just stayed up there with no issues.
They played the song. I was such a big fan of Minnie Riperton. We were friends, and she did this song, and they just said, do what you feel. And so I did what I feel, what the music led me to do.
And speaking of going back to that song Heavy Day, that was I think the credit says you and Minnie on background.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the other woman's name. I can see her face. I do not remember her name. But
We
speaking of,
had so much fun doing that stuff. A lot of fun.
but what was your experience like working with Syreeta?
I love Syreeta. Syreeta Wright to me had one of the most beautiful voices. With when I listen to her on Born Again, it's just, it emits an emotion, that from her voice, the tenderness in her voice. It was wonderful working with her. She was a very, very lovely lady.
And like I was saying, you guys sang background quite a bit on that record. Something
Uh-huh.
that I noticed about your particular generation of singers is y'all were put out lead albums, but you had no problems going in and doing backgrounds for somebody. What why was that back then?
Oh, it was wonderful because you got a chance to work with your peers. I used to do a lot of Miller commercials for the Miller Beer Company, and it would be me, Luther Vandross, James Ingram, Cheryl Lynn. It would be all of these wonderful, singers, and we all had records, but we loved getting together and singing together. I remember we did the backgrounds for Janet Jackson one time. We were saying, Janet, come out and sing with us. And she eventually came out. So we did it because it was fun to sing with all these incredible singers.
And do you think a lot of singers or anyone who wants to sing should learn how to sing the background?
I think so. I think it's a great learning experience for you to be able to pair your voice with another, listen to another voice, and then blend in with that voice. I don't think a lot of the young singers have had that experience. And I think it's a shame because it is an incredible experience and it teaches you a lot about voices, pitch and tone, and even highs and lows and timbers of your voice. So it's something that I think they're missing out on.
Well, speaking of all those things and teaching the young people, you were giving voice lessons at one point in time, correct?
I was, yes.
Yes. So, to you, what is vocal technique to you?
Vocal technique to me is being able to go from one level to another in your voice. I mean, with me, my exercises take me through at least three and a half octaves. So it's going to help strengthen your voice, vocal technique, strengthens the vocal cord. It also helps you to jump from um, from one octave to another without there being a break in your voice. That was something that I concentrated on with my vocal lessons is knowing when I can go from chest to head, and you not knowing that I made that move because it's smooth. And so that's what vocal techniques can do and help you with your pitch, help you with your tone. And, like I said, you being able to go from one octave to another and nobody really know that you did it because it's so smooth that you do it.
So, like when you're talking about that break, I'm trying to think of a song. Maybe like God is amazing. Like God is truly amazing.
Mhm.
Oh my God. That how would you
Yeah.
describe like what you're doing right there? Though that switch between those two.
Well, I'm going from one octave to another.
Okay.
That's what's happening.
And what about when you do the high E flat at the end?
God told me to go there, so I went.
Okay. Okay. So speaking of back to the music, on your first album, and like really all of the albums that would follow, you have a songwriter credit on basically every song. So how would you describe your process when it comes to writing songs?
Well, my songs are really written out of the experience that I've had or lived through or experience that my friends lived through. It's like if there's a happy experience or if I like somebody, then it's a happy love song. If I'm mad at somebody, it's not so nice. So I had broken up with somebody and I sat down at 3 o'clock in the morning and I started writing silly. at 3 o'clock in the morning because of a breakup. So it just comes out of life's experiences.
So, what was the experience for my favorite song, My Prayer?
That was it. I was really praying, and in the midst of praying, that song, that melody popped out, and I just decided to put it down.
And it's a similar thing or experience is what led you to write the paper as well.
Absolutely. The same thing happened. I went through a divorce, and that was the song that came out of that situation.
Okay, so you write. So, you do you arrange your vocals as well?
I do. A lot of times I do. I mean, certainly, with some of the incredible producers I've worked with, Maurice White, Tom Bell, George Duke, they had a lot to say about maybe if you tried this, but they really gave me a free hand in doing the vocal, my vocal backgrounds and stuff.
Speaking of your writing, we just spoke about one of your more popular self-penned titles, God is Amazing, which is
Yeah.
on the Songbird LP. Um, what does your faith mean to you?
My faith is everything to me. God is first. I would not have lived this life that I've been allowed to live without God going before me and making opportunities for me. Oh, it started with giving me this voice because I don't remember standing in line and saying, "I'll take that voice." It was given to me, by God, and so God is first.
Did you ever feel any conflict at times when you're singing songs such as maybe it's important to me, or I'm trying to think, uh, Save the Dance for Me? I think that's the name of it, or any of the material, honestly, when love comes calling. Did you feel any conflict with your faith?
I did at one particular time, but then God told me that He had given me this gift to share with the world. And He also told me to keep my faith and stand as a Christian because I was going to be the Bible that a lot of people would only see or only hear, would be through my testimony. So that ended the conflict.
And would that explain how we get the on the secular material, how we got the one gospel song at least on each.
Absolutely. That's my tithe in my music to God.
Wow. And so, speaking of that song, because I think that song is very, very important as it pertains to your career. Because I think I don't recall now. Correct me if I'm wrong. The very first album doesn't have a gospel song on it, does it?
Somebody's watching.
Oh, that's a gospel song.
Somebody's watching you.
And I was literally listening to that today and yesterday on my walk, and I was like, that never occurred to me. Speaking of the gospel material, you were one of the first Black artists to be marketed in the Christian contemporary realm. So, how do you feel like that market received you?
Well, they did receive me, and they received me because there was always gospel music on my secular projects. So they knew, that I stood for being a Christian. And so when I did my full gospel projects, I was already accepted in that community.
Okay. And what was it like recording with Sandy Patty?
Was incredible because she has this incredible voice, and I was a big fan of hers. She was a fan of me, so we got a chance to do this song, and it was wonderful.
I'm So Proud is your first gospel record after the Grammys performance, but it's not on Columbia, it's on Sparrow. So how did you end up on Sparrow Records?
Well, I asked Columbia if I could do gospel music for them, and they said they weren't interested. So I said, okay, then I'm going to go to somewhere else and do that. And that's why I went to Sparrow.
Okay, all right, thank you. And the last question, this is the
Okay.
last one. You recently celebrated a birthday, and
Yes.
I'm blessed that I'll be able to see you in concert this weekend. But as
Yes.
it pertains to your voice, it's still in great shape. How have you managed to keep it in such great condition?
I blame it on Jesus because I have done nothing special, but I'm still have my voice and still singing in my original keys. And I just thank God for it. But, take care of your voice. Don't do anything crazy. I've learned how not to oversing, so that I mess up. I'm very aware of the weather conditions a lot of times. So I try to protect my voice that way, drinking hot tea and those kind of things. So you'll be seeing me on Saturday and we'll hang out and have fun.
All right. So
All
thank you
righty.
so much, Deniece. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm looking
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing you this weekend. Bye
I'll see
bye.
you this weekend. God bless you.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.